Welcome to yet another edition of TV Africa News. This is Africa Today. My name is Najma Lima, but first are the headlines. Parliament issues a roadmap on election of ELR MPs. Kenya announces meeting to end violence in Eastern DRC. DRC on progressive increase of salaries for civil servants. In sports, Uganda Netball Federation seek over 280 million for Commonwealth and other international tournaments. Welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The clerk to Parliament, Adolphe Mwesige Kaisaija, has asked political parties to commence the process of identifying candidates for elections to East African Legislative Assembly as the term for the current members ends in December this year. This followed a notice from the clerk of ELA to the effect that the Parliament of Uganda is expected to elect its members of ELA within 90 days before the expiry of the ongoing assembly. We have more. In the letter written to all Secretary-Generals of political parties, Mwesige said that the notification by the clerk of the ELA has been issued 4 months prior to the date of nominations in order to enable political parties represented in Parliament to prepare for primaries and prepare candidates for the elections. He said the political parties and independents participating in this election must ensure that candidates for election to ELA are citizens of Uganda, qualified to be elected as a member of Parliament of Uganda, do not hold any public office, and are known in the service of the East African community. The electoral process for the 50th Assembly of ELA will commence by September 17th, 2022, which is at least 90 days before December 17th, 2022, with a notification from the clerk of the East African Legislative Assembly to the Speaker of the National Assembly. Upon notification by the clerk ELA, the clerk to Parliament shall issue a notice in the Gazette and the mass media appointing 2 days during which the nomination of candidates shall take place. The nomination shall be twofold: those on the ticket of political parties and those that seek election as independents. The Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises has asked the government to cancel the controversial coffee agreement that it recently signed with Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited to establish a coffee processing plant at Namamve Industrial Park.
Speaking to the media in a news conference regarding the matter, the executive director of FSMEs, John Walgembe, said Uganda is the leading grower of coffee, not because of big investors, but because of local SMEs and farmers who have been working hard to push the industry to where it is now and need to be supported. He said that they oppose this deal and the concern they have with this agreement is limited consultation that was undertaken. He added that an agreement in this nature should only be developed after very intense and comprehensive consultations. He stated that whereas they welcome foreign investors in the country, they believe that they need to compete fair and square with local SMEs. He explained that Uganda is doing well with coffee and there is no need to gamble with the commodity, which is one of the leading sources of foreign exchange. Last week, the government defended the deal with an Italian investor, saying the agreement was sanctioned by the Attorney General and no single law was violated. The investor is the individual behind the multi-billion-dollar construction of the Lubowa Specialized Hospital, which is more than 2 years behind schedule, despite the $379 million backing from the government.
Away from that, Kenya has announced that it will host a meeting between rebels in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the government in Kinshasa. The announcement was made on Thursday after a meeting of leaders from Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and the DRC that met in Nairobi to discuss violence by armed groups in the DRC. According to Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, during Thursday's meeting, the leaders sought to establish a regional force to neutralize armed groups in the region. The meeting took place after the DRC joined the Community of East African States at the end of March. Recent fighting in eastern DRC has pitted government forces against rebels from the M23 movement, a group that emerged from the Congolese Tutsi rebellion. 2 weeks ago, the group announced that it was withdrawing from villages under its control, saying it wanted peaceful settlement of the crisis. Another rebel group active in eastern DRC, the Allied Democratic Forces, is accused of carrying out attacks that have cost thousands of lives, as well as planting bombs in Uganda's capital, Kampala. Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The Democratic Republic of Congo government has announced an increase in the salaries of civil servants and career public officials from the month of April 2022. The 30% increase was made public by Jean-Pierre Lihaou, the Deputy Prime Minister in charge of the civil service.
According to Lihaou, the government and the Civil Service Syndicate Group agreed on a progressive increase that will include the military and police. Another 45% increase is planned for the third quarter of this year. The salary increment is the Congolese government's response to the public outcry and recurrent demands of civil servants concerning the high cost of basic needs touching on their standard of living. A loaf of bread that was selling for 200 Congolese francs a few days ago now costs more than double. But to carry out the salary increment successfully, the Congolese government hopes to recover the money wrongly collected by agents known as accumulators who are on several payrolls in the various ministries of public administration. A section of civil servants remains an Achilles heel on the government's move and is calling for major reforms and a cleanup of public administration, including the departure of some 350,000 people eligible for retirement.
Italy is another step ahead in its venture to increase its export of natural gas as the country signed a new deal with the Republic of Congo on Thursday. The Italian delegation paid a visit to Angola and now Congo Republic this week to line up LNG contracts. Italian Foreign Minister Luigi Di Maio announced the deal alongside Congolese Foreign Minister Jean-Claude Gakoso in Brazzaville on Thursday, saying that the Russian attack on Ukraine has obliged Italy to diversify its sources of energy. Italy, like most countries in Europe, is trying to cut its reliance on Russian natural gas imports quickly, with leaders recognizing that their payments help fund Moscow's war. But Umberto Truizzi, professor of political economy at the University of Rome, Sapienza, believes that Italy does not have the proper arrangement for such a swift change. Umberto said that the countries with which they have made agreements in the last years, like Algeria, Libya, Qatar, Azerbaijan, Angola, Congo, Mozambique, have asked them to increase their export to Italy in a different way. He added that for some of them, they have pipelines, like Algeria, like Libya, and Azerbaijan, while they don't have for others. The new deal with Congo calls for a new liquefied natural gas project that is expected to launch next year with a capacity of up to 4.5 billion cubic meters a year. Moving on, Niger's deputies will debate and vote today over the presence of foreign forces to fight jihadists in Niger, denounced by local NGOs according to the parliamentary and government sources. With an overwhelmingly majority in the National Assembly of the ruling party of President Mohamed Bazoum, the results of the vote will leave little room for doubt. The document submitted to the deputies consulted by the media stresses that Niger is virtually surrounded by terrorist groups. This is despite efforts to contain the threat around its borders, where the human and economic toll is high. In a statement, the opposition parties said the government's approach is to circumvent the obligation to communicate to national deputies the texts relating to defense and security agreements as part of the regularization of the redeployment of Bakane and Takuba forces in Niger. The document added that the evolution of the security situation requires a joint commitment of the government and other nations for an effective fight against terrorism within the framework of existing or future bilateral or multilateral cooperation. The text said that the special forces of friendly countries will be deployed and installed on the territories in the member countries of the Economic Community of West African States affected by the threat, including Benin, Ghana, Niger, and Cote d'Ivoire. The document further specifies that in Niger, which is already home to foreign force bases, new locations will be created closer to the theaters of operations in Mali, and the locations and modalities of operations will be discussed within the military hierarchy. Away from that, former Botswana President Ian Khama was summoned to appear before a court on Thursday to face multiple criminal charges. Illegal possession of firearms is one of the criminal charges faced by the former president. Let's take a look.
The former president was accused along with 3 others, including an ex-intelligence chief, a former police commissioner, and an ex-deputy permanent secretary. All 3 face a total of 38 charges. Under Botswana law, the illegal possession of guns could lead to a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. Ian Khama ruled Botswana between 2008 and 2018. In November 2021, the former president went into self-imposed exile in South Africa. The court summons against the former president come ahead of current President Masisi's planned meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in Pretoria on Friday.
Let's once again take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, Libya's national oil company, NOC, announced in recent days that it has halted operations at 2 major oil terminals, closing several fields due to the impact of the war in Ukraine.
According to the national oil company, daily output has been halved at a time when oil and gas prices are soaring under the impact of the war in Ukraine. At the center of the crisis is the dispute between the parliament sitting in Tobruk in the east and led by Fathi Bachaga and the incumbent executive and Abdelhamid Deiba in Tripoli. On Tuesday, Deiba reaffirmed that he would only hand over power to an elected government. Armed groups close to the parliament in the east are calling for power to be transferred to the new Prime Minister Fathi Bachaga. Mercenaries from private company Wagner, with links to the Kremlin, also support the armed groups behind the new Prime Minister. On Tuesday, U.S. Ambassador in Libya Richard Noland warned in a meeting with the Libyan Central Bank governor against using oil revenues for partisan political purposes.
In our health news today, more than 1 million children in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi have now received at least one dose of the first malaria vaccine.
Data provided by the UN's World Health Organization suggests that the pilot program launched in April 2019 was safe and substantially reduced severe cases of the disease. The RTS's vaccine could save the lives of 40,000 to 80,000 children per year in sub-Saharan Africa and high-risk areas. The new vaccine works against the mosquito-borne parasite Plasmodium falciparum, the most deadly parasite worldwide and the most prevalent in Africa. About 90% of the world's malaria cases are in Africa, where 260,000 children die each year. Malaria is a very old disease and it can be fatal if not treated in time. More than $155 million has been mobilized by the Vaccine Alliance Gavi to enable the delivery of these vaccines. World Malaria Day is marked on April 25th.
And finally, in our sports news today, Uganda Netball Federation is on a mission possible to seek over shillings 280 million for their upcoming international tournaments for the national team. She reigns. We have more. Uganda Netball Federation Executive alongside the Board of Trustees made the revelation during a press conference held at Serena Hotel, Kampala on Thursday, April 21st, 2022. A detailed catalogue of activities that await the Federation was outlined by Honorable Sarah Breeze Babire Kitio during the briefing. Honorable Kitio revealed that they need over 280 million for preparations and will not wait for government support, but rather they need to start on their own and the government help will find them along the way. To start with, the Uganda Netball Federation Season Awards will be held on the 26th April 2022 at Imperial Royal Hotel, Kampala. Uganda will host the East African Club Championships between 18th to 15th May 2022 in Kamwokya, Kampala. The national team will then be engaged in regional tours effective 16th May 2022 in Western, Eastern, North, West Nile and Central. There will be a mega fundraising dinner on 24th June 2022 at Serena Hotel, Kampala, where His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is expected to attend as the chief guest. That ends our news today. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way.